Hi guys, my name is Peter and welcome to a brand new video. In this video, I'm going to talk about Load Balancer. Yep, Amazon's Elastic Load Balancer, also known as ELB. So first of all, I'm going to give you guys a basic idea regarding what is a load balancer. Why do we even use them? What are the different types of load balancer that we have? And what about their prices? So first of all, we're going to discuss all these things and then we are going to get into the hands-on part. So guys, before moving on, let us get a basic understanding of load balancer. So imagine this situation in which you have created a website that sells courses and you have deployed that website onto a T2 micro instance. Initially you had very little traffic, but as time progressed, the amount of traffic to your website kept on increasing and it reached a point where your T2 micro instance cannot handle such a lot of traffic. And it is at that point you thought about scalability. So when you basically think about scalability, there are different options. So you might think, to solve scalability, I can deploy my website onto a bigger instance like C5 extra large. Yeah, that can solve the issue. So this sort of scalability wherein you increase the instance or increase the size of the instance is called as vertical scalability. So there is also another sort of scalability known as horizontal scalability, wherein you will be having multiple instances running the same application or the same website that you have created, and when the traffic to your website increases, it is distributed between all these different instances. So this sort of scalability is known as horizontal scalability, and this entire process is known as load balancing. So in essence, load balancer divides the traffic onto different instances such that your website stays stable. So this is a high level overview of Elastic Load Balancer. So what does this elastic word mean? So elastic means that you can scale up as well as scale down. So that is the meaning of elastic. So now you have got a basic idea regarding what an elastic load balancer is. So right now let's move on to the in-depth understanding of how a load balancer works. So let us consider the previous example, that is, you have created a course selling website. You initially deployed it onto a simple instance and the traffic to your website increased and you thought of scalability. And you created another instance and thought of deploying your website onto both of these different instances. But practically you can't basically divide the traffic onto these two websites without any intermediary or any sort of software. So that is when you basically thought of load balancer and you decided to implement one. So when a user tries to access your website, previously if you don't have a load balancer, that request will directly go to your website or the server where your website is deployed on. But now, since you have implemented a load balancer, when a user tries to access your website, that request would directly go to the load balancer. So the load balancer also has rules. You can also not define them. So if you do not define any sort of rules, automatically the load balancer will direct 50% traffic to first instance and the other 50% to the second instance. But you can also define rules to make the efficient use of the load balancer or to utilize the load balancer to its max. So for example, you have created a course selling website and that website has a main page, a course selling page, a blog page, and you know that the courses page will be the hot one. That is where the maximum traffic is going to come. So in the rules section, you can define that when the traffic in the courses page increase, dedicate one instance completely to that page. So that is the use of rules. You can write rules to basically allocate instances depending on various different scenarios. So let's come back to the example. So a user tried to access your website, a request is sent that reaches the load balancer and the load balancer divides the traffic and send it to the instances. So for example, if 100 people are simultaneously trying to access your website, that traffic is going to come to the load balancer and the load balancer is going to divide that traffic onto the different machines. Or if there are any sort of rules defined, it is going to divide the traffic according to the rule. And another cool part about the rules is that you can basically create more of the instances depending on the rule. For example, if the courses page is having huge amount of traffic, you can basically increase the number of instances. But there is actually an issue. Here you can see that this traffic is going to directly point onto this single machine and this traffic is basically pointing onto this single machine. The other 4 machines are not being used. So to fix that, we have got groups. We group them together and this group is known as target group. So now when the traffic comes here, this entire group is what it is going to reach and the traffic will be distributed to the different machines in this particular group. So let us think about this with an example. 100 people are simultaneously trying to access the course page on your website, that entire traffic comes to the load balancer, and you have defined a rule that if certain amount of traffic reaches the course page, you will dedicate an entire target group to the courses page. So that rule is basically being satisfied. So all that traffic comes to this particular target group, and that 100 traffic will be divided between all these different machines, or it will be distributed between these machines in the first target group. So this is regarding the entire load balancer situation. So we learned about load balancer, rules, the different target groups, and how the traffic is distributed between different instances within a target group. So guys, let's also take a look at the official documentation of Elastic Load Balancing from AWS. So what is Elastic Load Balancing? So Elastic Load Balancing automatically distributes your incoming traffic across multiple targets such as EC2 instances, containers, IP addresses in one or more ACs. So this is a basic definition of Elastic Load Balancing. So what are different load balancer benefits? So a load balancer distributes workloads across multiple compute resources such as virtual servers. Using load balancer increases the availability and fault tolerance of your application. So here you can also read about the different features of load balancing, and you can also see the different ways in which you can access ELB. Some of them are, you can access it via AWS Management Console, which we will be doing in this particular video. We can also use AWS CLI, AWS SDKs, and Query API. Now let's take a look at the different types of load balancers. So we have got application load balancer, network load balancer, gateway load balancer, and classic load balancer. So classic load balancer is kind of old and we don't use them. We mainly focus on these three guys. So, and in this video, we will be mainly using application load balancer. And now when it comes to the pricing, if you are having a free tier AWS account, you are on the safe side. You won't be charged a lot of money for using these resources. But if not, you'll be charged a bit of money, and you need to remember that these resources are billable. So you can see that for using application load balancer for an hour or a partial hour, you'll be charged 0.0225. So it's kind of really low considering that you are learning a really cool concept of load balancing. You'll be charged very less. So even if you use it for 1 hour, you'll be charged less than $1. So the amount of money charged is pretty low. So when it comes to network load balancer, you can see the amount of money charged. Same for the gateway load balancer as well. So that is regarding the pricing, and let's also see what are the difference between these load balancer. So here you can see that application load balancer basically works on layer 7, that is the application layer, and it listens to the protocols like HTTP, HTTPS, and gRPC. And network load balancer basically works on layer 4, that is transport layer, and the protocol listeners are TCP, UDP, and TLS. So this is a basic idea regarding the different types of load balancer. So mainly we have application load balancer, network load balancer, and gateway load balancer. And pricing, it is kind of on the lower side, but you need to remember that these resources are billable. So guys, that is all about the introduction to load balancer, and now it is time to get on to the hands-on part. So now coming on to the hands-on part, the way in which we are going to do this is that we'll be having two target groups, that is target group 1 and target group 2. And within each of this target group, we'll be having 2 instances each, that is 2 instances on target group 1 and 2 instances on target group 2, making a total of 4 different instances. So we won't be deploying any sort of large applications onto these instances. Instead, we'll be converting these instances as web servers. So the reason for converting these instances to web server is that we need to basically distinguish between these instances and identify that which instance is currently handling the traffic, right? So the traffic can be distributed to any of this instance. So we need some sort of medium to determine that which instance is currently handling the traffic. So we'll be simply having an index.html file and we'll be basically deploying that file to 4 of these instances, and each of that index.html file slightly varies. For example, for the first instance, it will be machine 1. For the second one, the index file will be having a text known as machine 2, machine 3, and machine 4, so that we can identify that which machine is currently handling the traffic. So in order to implement this, we need to run a script to our instance. So this is the script that will be running. So there are different ways in which you can run the script. Either you can first create the instance, then you can access the instance and run these commands manually, or else while creating an instance in the advanced settings, you can basically pass this command as a user data so that AWS will automatically run this command when the instance is being created. So we'll be following that path. So let me give you guys a basic understanding of what this script is. So first we have got yum update-y. So this is gonna update all the packages of the instance that we have created. And the second command basically installs an HTTPD web server. In this case, it is an Apache web server. And in the third command, we basically start the server. And here we basically enable the server. So the reason for enabling the server is that there can be situations in which your instance can unexpectedly restart. In that case, we also want a web server to automatically restart as well. So to do that, we basically run this particular command, that is enable HTTPD. Then we change the directory to HTML. And finally, we have an echo command that echoes this particular text onto a file known as index.html. So this is a simple text. It says welcome to Peter.in, and we have got an h1 that says this is machine 1. So when we create machine 1, we'll be directly pasting this particular script onto user data. And when we create machine 2, the only thing that we're going to change is that we're going to change this text from machine 1 to machine 2, the same for machine 3 as well as machine 4. So as I already said, the reason for doing this is that we can basically distinguish between the different instances, and we can identify that currently which machine is, or currently which instance is handling the traffic. So that is the reason why we are basically doing all these things. So I hope that you guys got a basic idea regarding this particular script. And now let's go to AWS Management Console. And right now I am in the EC2 section of the AWS Management Console. So the first thing that we are going to do is that let's scroll down to security and groups, and let us basically create a brand new security group. So as you can see, there's a lot of security group that I have. So let me just delete some of these. I don't really use any of these now. So let's quickly clean up this so that you guys don't get confused. And let's go to actions and let's delete security group. Let's enter delete as a confirmation. And let's delete all these security groups. So I have left only the default security groups, and these all are going to go in a second. Yeah. Now let's create a brand new security group. So I'm going to click on create security group right here. And first of all, let's enter a security group name that is going to be web-access. I'm going to enter a description as allow SSH and HTTP. And we are gonna go with the default VPC. And now it is time to define some rules. So let's click on add rule in the inbound rules section. So let us click on the type as SSH and let it be from anywhere IPv4, and I wanna enter description as allow SSH. Again, let's click on add rule and let us select a type as HTTP. And here the source, I'm going to select it as anywhere IPv4, and let's give a description as allow HTTP. And let's add the third rule, that is an HTTPS type, and let us type the source as anywhere IPv4, and let me give a description as allow HTTPS. Alright, so we are currently going to work with only IPv4 and not IPv6. So we have added all the three different inbound rules, and we already have got the outbound rule, and that's it. Let us basically click on create security group here, and that's it. We have got our brand new security group already. So we have got all these HTTP, SSH and HTTPS, and everything is IPv4. Alright, now we are done with the security part. Now let's go to instances right here. And now it is time to create 4 different instances. So I'll walk you guys through creating 2 instances, and we'll fast forward the other creation of 2. You can do it yourself. So let's click on launch instances right here. So right now we are currently working with AWS's latest UI. So AWS UI has changed a lot. So this is their brand new one. So first of all, let's give a name. So I'm going to give it as machine 1. So that's the name of the machine. And now let us select our AMI. So here I'm going to click on this particular drop down, and we are gonna go with a free tier eligible Amazon Linux to AMI. So I'm gonna select that. So moving down, the instance type, of course, we're gonna go with T2 micro. It is free tier eligible, and we also need to select a key pair login. So let me select that. And here network setting, we're gonna leave it as it is. And for security group, we are gonna select an existing security group, and let's click on the drop down arrow and select web access, which is the security group that we created just now. Let's select that. Storage, let it be as it is. And in the advanced settings, let's click on the drop down arrow and scroll all the way down until we find the user data. So this is the area where we are going to paste our script. So let us copy the entire script from here and paste the script from here. So the only thing that is going to change when we create the second, the third and the fourth instance is that we're going to change this particular text from machine 2, machine 3 and machine 4. So that's the only change that is going to happen with the script. Other than that, everything is going to remain the same. So I think that is it. So here we can basically see a small description of a small summary of what all we have specified. And once that is done, just click on launch instance, and that's it. If you click on view all instances, you can see that currently our instance is in the pending state. After a couple of seconds, it will be in the running state. So meanwhile, this one is getting ready. Let's create another instance. So let's click on launch instances again. So I'm gonna name my machine as machine 2. Let me scroll down, and I'm gonna again go with the free tier eligible Amazon Linux to AMI. So instance is 2 micro, which is again free tier eligible. Let me select my key pair login. Network setting is the same. I'm gonna select an existing security group, that is web access. Storage is gonna remain the same. In the advanced setting, I'm gonna scroll down all the way till user data. I'm gonna paste it, and I'm gonna change this text from machine 1 to machine 2, and I'm gonna launch the instance. Let's see all the instances. So we already have got machine 1 running. So let's see if this particular machine is working fine. So if I click on it, here you can see the public IPv4 address. So let me just copy it. Let's open up a new tab. Let me paste this particular URL, and let's enter :80 and press enter. As you can see, this particular web server is working perfectly fine. It is showing machine 1. So currently both of the machines are running. Let's also see if machine 2 is working. So let me copy the IPv4 public address from here. Let's open a new tab, and let's enter :80. So currently the instance is not yet ready. That's why we can't access it. It takes a couple of seconds. So let me refresh it once again. Yeah, it's going to take a bit of time. After that, it's going to work as well. So now let's create the other 2 machines as well. I'm going to fast forward the entire process. Alright guys, I have created all the 4 machines. Right now the 4th one is still in the pending state. So let's see if our second machine has completed its preparation section. Yep, machine 2 is also live now. Let's see if machine 3 is live. So let me copy the public IPv4 address from here, and let's try :80. Yep, the machine 3 is also active. And machine 4, as you know, it's going to take a couple of seconds, and it's going to be working as well. So till now we have created 4 different instances, and now it is time to configure the target groups. So guys, another thing that I want to remind you guys is regarding the status check. So if I refresh it, it's going to be all passed. So you need to have a check at this particular status section, because when you configure the load balancer basically performs health checks periodically. So if any of your instances is not healthy, load balancer is not going to send the traffic to that particular instance. It's going to direct the traffic to other healthy instances. So make sure that before you configure the load balancer, all of your instances are healthy. That is, all of the checks are passed. And also make sure that all of your machines are working perfectly fine. So we have seen that all of our machines are fine. We also need to check whether machine 4 is active. So let us do that as well. Yeah, we can see that all of our machines are working perfectly fine. So this particular step, that is to check everything is healthy and active, is a really important step, so that there is not a lot of issues that is going to come when you allocate these resources to a load balancer. So please do remember that. Alright, now let's move on to the target section. So before that, let me just clean up all the tabs on the top. So right on the left, let's scroll down until we find load balancing, and let's click on target groups right here. And this is where we create a brand new target group. So target group, if you guys don't remember, it is that green box inside which we basically group all the instances together. So one thing that you guys need to remember is that target group do not have any relation with the type of load balancer. Target groups are just used to group resources together. It can be attached to application load balancer, network load balancer, gateway load balancer, or anything. It is just used to group resources together. So let's click on create target group right here. And as you can see, we have some configuration, that is we can select a target type as instances, IP addresses, lambda functions, or application load balancer. So we're going to click on instances, and here we need to provide a target group name. So I'm going to enter as TG-1, and below that we need to specify the protocol, and this is where you guys need to be careful. So if I click on the protocol, here you can see we have got HTTP, HTTPS, TCP, TLS, UDP. So if you select UDP and try to connect an application load balancer, things are not going to work. So as you know, UDP is for network load balancer. It works on transport layer. So make sure that the type of protocol that you select and the associated load balancer matches. So here I'm going to go with HTTP, since we are going to use an application load balancer, and we will be sticking with the default VPC. And here we have got health checks. So health check is also pretty important. So here we have got a health check path, so that the load balancer can go to this particular path and see if things are working. So for example, if you have got an index.html page, the load balancer goes to that page and see if it is working. So if at any reason the load balancer cannot access this particular path, it is going to return an unhealthy state. So that's regarding health check. So you can go to advanced setting and play around with the timing. So here now it is by default 5. You can reduce or increase it accordingly. So that's all about the configuration, and now let's click on next right here. And this is where you basically add instances onto the target group. So right now you have just created that green box, and now we need to specify which all instances are going to go into that group. So for the first target group, we're going to add machine 1 as well as machine 2. We have added 2 of them, and let's click on include as pending below. So we have got machine 1 and machine 2, and let's click on create target group. Alright, we have got our target group all configured. Let's select it, and here you can see that it is still being configured. So if I open it up, here you can see that the registered targets are machine 2 and machine 1. Alright, so we have created our first target group, and now let's create the second target group. So let's again click on create target group. Again, instances, I'm going to name it as TG-2. Again, it's going to be HTTP and port 80. Everything is going to remain the same, and I'm going to click on next, and let us add machine 3 and machine 4. Let's click on include as pending below. Alright, and click on create target group, and let's open up our target group 2, and the registered targets are machine 3 and 4. Alright, now we have successfully created 2 target groups and added machine 1 and 2 to target group 1 and machine 3 and 4 to target group 2. So guys, now it is time for us to configure our application load balancer. So I'm going to scroll down in the left panel, and under the load balancing section, I'm going to click on load balancer, and here I'm going to click on create load balancer, and here you can choose between application, network, and gateway load balancer. So we will be creating an application load balancer. So once you learn how you can create for example an application load balancer, the creation of other 2 load balancers is pretty much the same and easy. So yeah, let's click on create under the application load balancer. So first of all, here you need to provide a load balancer name. So I'm going to provide it as app-lb, which means application load balancer. So I'm going to choose internet facing right here, which means that it's going to listen to port 80 and it's going to permit the incoming and outgoing traffic. So the address type is going to be IPv4. Network mapping, so we'll be selecting the default VPC. So I'm going to select these 3 ACs. Alright, and for security groups I'm going to delete the default, and I'm going to select the web access one. And for listeners and routing, we'll be using HTTP protocol, and we will be listening to port 80. And here we need to specify the target group. And for now I'm going to select TG-1 first. So we have selected the target group. And for add-on services tags, we're going to leave it as it is. So here you can see a basic summary of all the things that we have defined, and that's it. Let's click on create load balancer. Yep, it is successful. Let's click on view load balancer. So it is currently provisioning. So if I click on it, let me expand it. Here you can see the name as well as ARN, the DNS name and all. So if I go to listeners, so you can see it is listening to port 80. So here is where you can edit or review the rules. So we'll be talking about rules in a second. So we have got monitoring, integrated services and all these things here. So this is the description. We have got all the basic information right here. The current VPC, which is going to be the default one, the ACs it is going to be deployed on, and all the information, the security groups and everything is being defined right over here. Alright, now let us basically copy the DNS name from here, and let me paste it in a new tab. And as you can see that currently we are in machine 2, that is the traffic is being directed to machine 2 in the target group 1. So if I hit the refresh button continuously, you can see that it is changing to machine 1, machine 2. So the traffic is being distributed between the instances in target group 1. So that is basically what we can see right now. Yeah, so we have created a target group, we have created an application load balancer, and we have connected that target group 1 to this particular application load balancer, and that is what we have done till now. So guys, now it is the time to learn about rules. Let us understand how powerful rules are. So in order to understand rules properly, we need to create a situation. So in order to do that, let's go to the instances right here, and let's basically select our machine 3, and let's right click and click on connect, and let's connect via EC2 instance connect, and click on the connect button right here. So now it is going to basically allow us to access this particular machine right from the browser. It's going to take a couple of seconds. Alright, now we have got the access to the machine. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to change my directory to var/www/html. So as of now, here you can see that we just have an index.html file. So what we are going to do is that we are going to create a courses file as well. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to use the same technique, that is echo enter double quotes, indicating that we are going to append or add a text file. So let's add an h1 here. Let's also close the h1 tag so that we don't forget about that. Then let's enter purchased course from machine 3. Yep, and we are going to direct this particular command onto a file known as courses.html. So I think that we won't be able to run this command because we don't have any sort of permission. Yeah, we don't have permission. So let's enter sudo su, and let's enter su and paste this command. Alright, I think let's paste it. Alright, now we have got it. Now if I enter ls, here you can see that we are having a courses.html file. So let us see cat courses.html, and we have got purchased course from machine 3. So that's it. We have basically added a courses.html file to machine 3, and let's do the exact same to machine 4 as well. So let's select machine 4, right click, click on connect via EC2 instant connect, click on the connect button in the bottom. So now let's change the directory to var/www/html. So as you can see, we have got just an index.html file. So I'm gonna enter sudo su so that we have got the administrative privilege. Let's paste it, and we're gonna change from machine 3 to machine 4. Let's press enter. Let's enter ls. So we have got courses.html. So let's also see cat courses.html. Yep, machine 4. Alright, now we have added an courses.html file to machine 3 and 4. So the reason why we have added this particular courses.html is to basically understand the purpose of rules. So now we have added that. Let's go back to our load balancer. So let's click on load balancer under the load balancing section, and right here under the listener section, let's click on view or edit rules. And right here I'm going to click on the plus button right here to add a new rule, and let's click on insert rule. And here we have got a whole lot of customization, and this is one of the most powerful section of rules. So if I click on add condition, here you can see that I can add a host header, a path, a query string. So what is query string? So for example, if you have an e-commerce website, so you can basically read what the user is searching for. For example, if a lot of users are simultaneously searching for a mobile phone, based on that you can basically allocate or dedicate an entire instance to this particular mobile page. So that is how powerful rules are. So for now we are going to select the path, and the value of the path is /courses, and we are going to paste a star. So whatever the extension be, it's going to work fine. So we have specified that if any user directly goes to the courses section, we need to add an action, that is to forward that traffic to target group 2. So what happens now is that if a lot of people are simultaneously accessing the courses page on the website, all that traffic is going to be directly directed to the target group 2. So all the basic traffic is going to go to the target group 1 for machine 1 and machine 2, but for courses 2, all the traffic is going to be directed to target group 2, where machine 3 and machine 4 is placed. Alright, so we have defined the rule, and let's click on the save button. So the new rule was successfully created. Let's go back. Let us see if things are working. Let's go to description and copy the DNS from here. Let's paste it. Alright, now we are just in the normal URL. We are not directly accessing the courses page. So the traffic is being handled in machine 1 and machine 2. So let's enter /courses.html. Alright, now we can see purchase course from machine 3. So if I refresh it, you can see machine 4. So this courses.html exists only in machine 3 and 4. So whatever the traffic is gonna come to courses.html is being directed to machine 3 and 4, which is residing in target group 2. So you can basically understand the power of rules. So by using load balancers is how huge e-commerce sites handle their websites even during peak sale time. So for example, a e-commerce site is having huge discounted sale, and a lot of people are simultaneously searching for mobile phones. With the help of query string, as the amount of search or traffic for mobile phones increases, you can dedicate an entire instance or target group for just the mobile phone category. So this is how these sort of e-commerce sites handle such a lot of traffic and still make their site work perfectly fine. So I hope that you guys got a basic idea regarding load balancer, how we can define rules, how we can create target groups, how we can assign target groups to load balancer, define rules, and all these things. So that is all about load balancer, and now we also need to clean up all these resources so that we don't create any sort of unwanted builds. And let's do that and basically wind up the video. So first of all, let's get rid of the load balancer. So we have selected the load balancer here. Let's click on actions and click on delete. Yes, delete the load balancer. Alright, the load balancer is gone. Now let's get rid of target groups. So let's click on target groups here. So let's select target group 1. So first of all, let's deregister some of the machines. So let's click on targets and select these 2 machines from here and click on deregister. Alright, and let's do the same for the second target group. Let's select it, go to targets, select 2 machines, that is machine 3 and 4, click on deregister. So now we have deregistered all the machines from both of the target groups. So let's select them, both of them, and click on actions and click on delete and click on yes, delete. Alright, now we have cleaned up the target groups as well. And finally, let's go back to instances, select all the instances from here, click on instance state and click on terminate instance and click on terminate. And now we have got all the instances shutting down and will be terminated in a second. So if I filter it via instance state to running, you can see that none of them is available. So the load balancer is gone, the target group is gone, and all the instances are gone. So that is it, guys. I hope that you guys got a basic idea regarding what a load balancer is, how you can create one, and what are the different features of it. So now that you have learned to create an application load balancer, it is pretty much easy to create any sort of other load balancer like network or a gateway. And I know that you guys can do it on your own. So that's it, guys. Thanks a lot for watching. So if you guys have any sort of queries, you can put that in the comment section. I'll be more than happy to help. So that's it. I'll see you guys in another video. Until then, it's Peter Johnson signing off.